Hello, kia ora, g'day. I'm Philip Duncan from WeatherWatchTV on YouTube with your Australia-only forecast through until Sunday. And there's a few things going on. We've got low pressure tracking along the south of the country, and we've got some rain coming into the east. You can see this easterly flow from about the northern part of New South Wales right to the top of the country. This easterly is the main feature, and that's going to drive in some rain over the next few days. But it dries out as it moves across the nation, and that's why this northwestern corner has been so dry and so hot lately. In the south, there's plenty going on. We've got a couple of cold fronts over the next week and a couple of low pressure zones that are going to track along here, and you can already see the warmer northerlies blowing ahead of the next change that's coming through. So let's try and make sense of everything that is going on. You can see this area of rain up here around Queensland on Tuesday. So most of that is heading southwards towards New South Wales. Bit of rain coming down to about Grafton. Elsewhere though, just a few showers in this zone. We also have a cold front. You saw before the northerly winds going ahead of it. The front's not overly active, but it will drive in a few more showers if you're lucky in Kangaroo Island and some other areas, Port Lincoln and places like that. Showers over here in the southwestern corner from Margaret River over to about Albany. Those showers are hit and miss, won't be too much, but they do go further up the western side, but not too much. Like I say, this pale blue shading really just means a few showers. Might only be 1 millimetre, for example. By Wednesday, a little better organised now in the southwestern corner. You can see some rain and wind coming out from that low pressure zone. The front ahead of it pretty much falls apart. Again, a few showers coming through ahead of this. Won't be very much all the way down here. Perhaps Tasmania gets the better chance of rain from that before it comes on in. But yeah, the wet weather going further northwards won't be very much. If you're in like Carnarvon, you're not going to be seeing much in the way of wet weather or north of there. On the eastern side though, plenty of rain coming in around Queensland here, some heavy falls, and that goes down to about sort of Grafton, Port Macquarie, and then that starts to taper off again as you head down towards about Sydney and Victoria. Just a few showers around and not much going on. Northern Territory, look at that, dry for you across Wednesday and Thursday as well. This is another week where we're not talking much about you. I do get a few complaints sometimes, and then I point out, hey, when you guys get a storm next, you'll love the way we do our videos, because we won't suddenly briefly mention your storm and then go off to evenly talk about somewhere else. We talk about where the weather is mostly moving and changing. That's what most of you want to watch. And as you can see, this big low on Thursday this week is moving along, but it doesn't drive in huge amounts of rain. These maps show 24 hours of rainfall, and so pale blue, it'll be welcome, I'm sure, but it's not going to be huge amounts all the way along the southern coastlines here, including into Tasmania, and much of the blue here, which is more from what you're seeing out to the east. Again, that's just a few showers in the mix. So by the end of the week, Friday here, the low moves away. That's most of that rain. But now you can see, here's some good news for South Australia. The low here sending in a colder southwesterly, but that is going to drive in proper rain and showers to the more populated areas and farms and grain growing areas. So that's a bit of good news for you. It's not all dry, dry, dry. Victoria sees a bit of wet weather, areas with green. You might be lucky to get about 10 to 15 millimetres. And then down here on the western half and the northern side of Tassie, you've got some proper rain setting in, 20, 30 millimetres coming through for you. All right, into the weekend now. Low pressure is off the southeast coast. That drives in rain to Victoria. Melbourne and surrounds get the most of that rain, so that's what you're seeing in here. Potentially getting 30 or 40 millimetres, although it's still a few days out. That could still shift around a little bit. New South Wales, the ACT, haven't mentioned you much. You get a bit of wet weather as well. Not huge amounts, but again, it goes up through many of the farming districts and growing areas. You will get some wet weather. Most of Queensland is dry, just a couple of isolated showers here, but the other main system is the rain coming through here. And again, it goes up to about Carnarvon, and then southwards, you've got that wet weather coming through, with some of these areas, south of Perth, Bunbury and other areas, maybe getting 20 or 30 millimetres. Fingers crossed for you. Final map on Sunday. Again, good news for the southern half of Western Australia. More wet weather coming through. It will be colder with that southerly, but it's not a major cold event. The really cold air well south of you. So this is just normal weather for this time of the year. And on the southeastern corner, as that low heads off more towards where I am in New Zealand, it'll drive back a southeasterly. So perhaps by Sunday, not as warm in Sydney and other eastern areas. Bit of rain here in the southeastern corner. I'm sure that'll be very welcome as well, although the timing at the weekend is always a little bit controversial. That is all from me. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back again on Thursday. We'll take a bigger look at your rainfall coming up for the next 7 days in Australia. So we will see you again on Thursday.